Hiya Dave, great to meet up with you as always up at the range to do some further work. Just a quick recap on the key points that we've discussed and worked on in your last couple of visits. The first key point that we were looking at was the positioning of the golf club at the top of the backswing. We were trying to get it a little bit deeper, like we see Hunter Nayan here, so that the feeling for you, or the thought, is that you're going to get the club into a position that is about 6 inches behind the right shoulder at the top of the backswing. That's going to get the club setting on the elbow plane line that we've put on there in the past. You've always sort of lifted the arms a little bit too early, so that was one of the key points. That's going to make it much easier for you to get the club approaching the ball from the inside, and also help you maintain a little bit of loft on the club face on the way through, giving you further height. The other feel that we talked about was this movement into the ground. We've noticed in the last few sessions that every now and again you come up and out of a shot. And the issue is not that you've extended too fast, it's that you've not gone into the ground enough in the early part of the downswing. So you can imagine the pressure on the Charlie Wee's left foot is going to increase from P4 to P5. So that's the pushing down into the ground before then springing up out the ground. And again, that's going to give you more height and more power in the golf swing. If we look at the swing at the start of your first session, what we're seeing is a much better move from P1 to P2. I was looking at some old footage of it the other day, and the hands were elevating onto the higher line very, very quickly. We're now getting a much more gradual ascent of the hands, everything moving inwards and upwards at a nice steady rate until about P3, and then the hands and arms start to just lift a little bit more, nowhere near as high as they used to be. They used to get the arms going through almost like the base of your ear, certainly through the neck, but the club was much higher than that. As a result, it used to require quite a lot of rerouting, and we still see a little bit of that in there. As we change direction, we just see the hands drop just a fraction to attempt to get the club into a position to hit from. The club doesn't fall behind you as much, and it doesn't open up to the plane as much as it used to do, which means that coming through the golf ball, the club face is much more stable. We do, however, on occasion get the high rate of closure kicking in, like we see here, because that's just really just what we've always done. We've always had quite a high rate of closure. Club face wrapping over a little bit too fast because of what's gone on before. So the feeling to tidy up the backswing is what you see yourself maxing out here. Get the hands 6 inches behind the right shoulder and flatten out the left wrist. So that's you maxing out the move that we want you to try and achieve. So that's the feel. And then when it comes to hitting the ball, the key here was to get the butt of the club behind the right shoulder. So we see the inward continues just a little bit longer. I'll just take you back here to P2. So there's just a little bit more inward with the hands, a little bit more inward with the golf club. At P3 we're already onto elbow plane. Here at P3 we're still slightly below it, so we're introducing a little bit more inward into this swing. And we are at about P3.5 before we start to elevate onto elbow plane, whereas on the previous swing we're already on elbow plane at P3 and continue to lift. So the movement that you're trying to create is getting in there a little bit more than before. You can see the club is on the butt of the club is a little bit lower down the blue line. The blue line is the turning right shoulder, so that's the shoulder plane that you can use as a reference. We're now a couple of inches under that, which is much better. That requires less of a drop as you start down, making it easier for the club to approach the ball from the inside. So we're a little bit more on plane coming into the downswing. Now as we come through, the feeling on the bottom footage is to keep the arms nice and straight for a shorter finish, and when we do that we see a lower exit and we see less rotation of the club face. Continue that up to the finish. So arms straight, stopping quick. That starts to tidy up the leg action tidy up the way the shoulders work, etc. on the way through. So when viewed from down the line, looking at that, what we're trying to do is get the butt of the club 6 inches behind the right shoulder and keep the arms nice and straight in the through swing. From face on, we weren't pushing into the ground enough. So the feeling is that from P4 to P5, the pressure increases into the lead leg. So we push down into the ground with the lead leg, and that in turn brings the arms down. So that's the feel. When it comes to the actual shot, great position at the top there, much better than it was a few months ago. You can see now a little bit more of a push into the ground with the left knee moving down and forwards, so the left knee, if you will, tracing this sort of line on the way down. So as we're coming into impact at P6, we've got a little bit more pressure into the ground. We don't look like the left leg straightening quite as fast. And then we're trying to control the rate at which the club face closes down by keeping the arms straighter. There's a little bit of residual stuff in there. If you look at it early post impact, we see much less of a release of the club. But all in all, much better move from the top. We're trying to tidy up this first move. P4 to P5.5. We want to be going into the ground more, so that we're then in a position to push up. Centre of the hips has moved further forward. You're more on top of the golf ball. From there, we've just got to learn to push up out of the ground at the correct rate, which if you keep hitting balls, keeping the arms straight and stopping quick, you will start to learn to do anyway. I'll just take Charlie down to the same sort of position in the swing. You can see now on the bottom left, you're much more in keeping with what you're seeing with Charlie Wee on the bottom right. As Hunter comes through the golf ball, lower exit, and again, bottom centre, we're much more in keeping with the type of pattern or model that we're trying to sort of move things towards. So good work, keep up the progress, and I look forward to working with you in the coming months. Well done.